Alright guys, so we're finally getting back to checking out a pair of true wireless earbuds. And the pair that we're going to check out today is the TOZO NC9. So far to this point, they've come out with the NC9, the NC9 upgraded or updated, and then they came out with this one and they're just calling it the NC9 again. So again, I think it's pretty much a third gen version of these. And so far, the NC9 is probably one of their most popular pair of true wireless earbuds. And this pair, it says retails for $56, although right now on Amazon, it says it's down to $39, and they have a coupon box or whatever to check off. So you can pick them up for under $30 right now. They're only $27. It is a hell of a bargain, hell of a value. And this is something that TOZO is definitely known for, being able to pick it up at this price. Now, the earbuds themselves are very small. They do use touch controls, and I am happy to say that you do have control over everything out of the box. Now, one thing that they've made different on this pair is the case. Even though it has its matte finish, on the front, it actually has this LED display. We've seen this on other earbuds. This allows you to see the battery life on each earbud, and it also gives you a digital readout of the battery life on the case. Now, I myself am not necessarily a huge fan of this, but I know a lot of people like this because you know exactly what your battery life is on everything just by looking at that case. Now, some of the features on this pair is it does have hybrid active noise canceling. It is Bluetooth 5.3. Now, the IP rating on these, now this is very interesting because they can't seem to be consistent about this. On Amazon and on their website, it says that it's IPX8, which makes it completely waterproof. But also somewhere in the description, it'll say that it's IPX6. So IPX6, IPX8, either way, you're not going to have any problems if you do drop these or submerge these into water. It's not going to damage them. And it's definitely going to be fine against rain and sweat and splashes and things like that. So for an inexpensive pair, it's nice to know you can go anywhere and you really just don't have to worry about them getting messed up. Now, one of the first things you're going to want to do before using these is download TOZO's app. The app is going to allow you to keep your earbuds updated. There's a lot of EQ options already just pre-baked into the app. But you can also go and look at a lot of different users' EQ settings that they've uploaded, and you can just customize the EQ settings the way that you want. So there's a lot of customization when it comes to the sound with these, and you can also customize the controls. So although it does let you control everything, you can go in and switch if you instead of a single tap, you want to double tap to get it to do something. So it's nice that you have those kind of controls. And there's also a low latency mode or a gaming mode that you can turn these into. So if you're just going to use the earbuds for watching movies or TV shows or even game, you would switch it into this mode so that it just cuts down on lag. And then also within the app, there's a lot of different noise canceling modes you can switch these into. There's your normal noise canceling or just your normal listening mode. There's also a wind noise mode. So if you're outside on a windy day or if you're going to ride a bike and use these, it will help cut down on that. There's also a leisure mode, which it shows kind of a person at a coffee shop as far as the symbol goes. And this is more of a light noise canceling mode. And then there's a custom mode. You actually have a slider. You can tell it from basically like 0 to 10 how much you want to block out the noise around you. And then there's also a transparency mode on this pair. And I'm going to say this, at the price that you can get these at, which is $27, so we'll say under 30 bucks, you will not find better noise canceling out there, and I honestly don't think you're going to find a better transparency mode. And I don't know if that's mainly because these usually are supposed to retail for 56 bucks, but the noise canceling is absolutely solid. It's more solid towards lower tones like engine noises and AC units. I will say if people are talking or anything that has like that higher tone, that is going to kind of bleed into the sound a little bit, just like it would any normal pair of earbuds. But I was very impressed with the noise canceling overall. And same thing with the transparency mode. It was very easy to hear my surroundings. It didn't sound like overly digital or compressed. Like, sometimes things you can tell are just digitally being pumped into into your earbuds. And it's very easy to also carry on a conversation without actually having to take these earbuds out. So I was very impressed, especially for the price that you can get these at. Now, as far as what all they've included inside the box, you do get 6 sets of silicone ear tips, which is definitely more than what comes in the packaging of most earbuds. It does come with a USB-C cable because that you are going to need to charge these. There's no wireless charging on the case, so do keep that in mind. And speaking of the charging, the battery life on these I also was not expecting in this price range. On a single charge, you can get about 14 hours on the earbuds. Now, this is with the noise canceling off. With the noise canceling on, I think it cuts them to about half of that, so about 7 to 8 hours. But with the charging case, you're going to get 59 hours total. Now, it doesn't have any information out there about fast charging. It says that it has fast charging, but there's no specs. And I'm just going to say that it's probably comparable to the previous model, where it's not very impressive. It's like a 10-minute charge is going to get you an hour's worth of use. But it's still nice to know that if your earbuds are dead, that it only takes 10 minutes to get an hour. And then as far as using these for phone calls, so if you're going to take phone calls with your earbuds, these have 6 microphones total, and it's also using environmental noise canceling to try to block out a lot of the other sounds and not have them kind of interfere with the conversation that you're having. And overall, I was, again, very impressed, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is a quick mic test using the TOZO NC9s. I am outdoors. I can definitely hear traffic over here. I can hear birds. So we're doing this outdoors so you can kind of see what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound. Now, these are using 10mm dynamic drivers, and they're also using what they call their AudioTech Acoustic 2.0 technology. And honestly, this is one of those things, and I've said this before with their other models, I thought it would just kind of be a gimmick. I've always noticed that companies like to use fancy names to make it seem like it's doing something different, but there is something going on with the sound of these that is quite impressive. And the reason I say that is for a pair that you can get for, let's say, under $60 because of its retail price, but let alone the fact $27 right now, it is one of the cleanest and most detailed earbuds that you're going to find in this price range. It picks up every little subtle detail. There's a lot of focus on the mids and the treble, especially the treble. Now, I am going to say at times, depending on what you're listening to, it may seem to get a little harsh. I personally like this because I feel like it's just bringing out that much more details. It's not like overly ear fatiguing. It's not something that, is way over the top, but it is definitely a brighter treble than what a lot of people are going to be used to with most consumer earbuds. And then when it comes to the low end, when it comes to the bass, there is a quick, tight punch to these. It is pretty impactful. And this is just the way that it's EQ'd out of the box. I did find myself going into the app and turning on the bass plus EQ setting, and that was the sweet spot for me. It just elevated the bass a little bit more. It gave it a little more oomph without, again, being overpowering to the mids and the treble, and it really just brought the sound to life the way that I like it. It doesn't hold back, but it definitely has everything pretty tightened up. Again, it's a very detailed earbud, and going between all the different genres and watching videos and watching movies and things like that, I never felt like this pair was lacking in any of it. In fact, dialogue in TV shows and movies definitely stood out, which also lended to vocalists in all those different genres kind of having a somewhat upfront approach. And the soundstage and the sound imaging was, again, also impressive. It left me feeling like I was in a pretty large room, and I never had an issue being able to tell where different sounds are coming from. So my overall opinion is this: if you can look past the fact that you don't get Qi wireless charging, there's no smart sensors on the earbuds themselves, and me personally, I'm not a fan of the LED display on the case, although I know a lot of you guys are. The sound alone and the battery life just definitely makes these worth their price tag. I would even just say the sound alone makes them worth getting. And one thing I also wanted to point out, they have this slogan, TOZO, just for good sound. And I really think that kind of labels what this pair is or what this pair is about. You don't get all the fancy bells and whistles and all of that of some of the other earbuds, but in the end, you're just getting good sound. But guys, that wraps up my video on the TOZO NC9s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.